Hello and welcome to the Listening Post's unboxing channel on YouTube. Today I'm unboxing McIntosh's 200 watt integrated amplifier, their MA7200. This is no new model, but I've realised after unboxing all of the ones around it, the receiver and the one with the equalizer, that this in itself deserves the attention that the whole range has. This 200 watt integrated amplifier clips at double the rated wattage, and McIntosh rate their total harmonic distortion at clipping, so the usable wattage is so easy and effortless and silent that this amplifier is second to none in its price class. So let's have a look. McIntosh packaging. This is a big, heavy amplifier. So the box, it's actually double box, and you'll see that in a moment. It's sealed with McIntosh's packing tape, and rolling it around we see on all of the sides we see scannable information about its model number and serial number. The base of the box is stapled closed with dozens of heavyweight staples, implying the weight of the product inside. Again, an emulation of serial numbers, and bringing it back down and spinning it around we see all the corners. Opening these is relatively straightforward. A simple slice across the McIntosh factory sealed tape, right across the top, ensuring that the knife doesn't dive too deep and that you sort of lift the lids up. Pausing for a moment and lifting this into frame, you'll see the inner box and the closed cell foam in four corners that suspend this unit in transit. Most manufacturers may only have this level of packaging, but McIntosh understand that this is likely to be exported to all four corners of the globe, and with it the packaging is second to none. Now, like any heavy product, I recommend that you roll it over and you lift the box off the product, not try and lift the product out of the box. You can see how effortless it is to take such a big heavy box and just get it out easily. The amplifier then has handle grips on the sides, enabling you to rock it onto its side and remove the closed cell foam corners. At this point we're down to a very heavy but much easier to manage smaller box. It has again an emulation of the model and serial number on the top, and again it's factory sealed in 3 locations along the front and the 2 sides. Opening at this point is very straightforward. It's a simple sort of semi-curved slice across the front and then the 2 down the sides. Opening it from here is a simple unflap, revealing some of the folded cardboard that is designed to support the front edge of the amplifier and ensure that it is firmly positioned in place in the packaging. Rocking it forward so we can see the top for a moment, we see that there is an abundance of accessories and McIntosh's user manual. The manual is elaborate. It's in English, and it features all of the useful tips and tricks associated with setting it up, changing inputs, getting into all manner of things inside. Because McIntosh's design is so simple and elegant, yet the feature set's so comprehensive, they bury those features inside the menu and setup, and accessing it is best done after reading the manual. There is McIntosh's remote control. This is protected by its own bubble bag, and it's simple enough to gain access with a process of sort of nicking and then carefully sliding open the sealed end. In the pack there is a couple of AAA batteries and McIntosh's remote control. Now this remote control is somewhat universal across McIntosh's other accessories, CD players, other things along those lines. So it's multi-function as far as its buttons. The volume and input are probably the most useful, along with direct access to other functions if required. We've got a really good quality IEC power cord in a Ziploc bag with a McIntosh part number. Then finally we've got a McIntosh key. Now this plastic key has a couple of functions. In the bigger amplifiers in this mode you can actually use it to undo some of the bolts, and the larger hole is used to tighten up the binding posts if you're using spades or something on the terminals. So always keep that off to one side. It's pre-drilled with a hole, so it actually makes a very good keychain as well. Now at this point, getting the amplifier out is most simply done by sliding the unit off the packaging and cardboard. The process is probably easier done with a friend or a colleague, but with one person it's not impossible to slide it across the packaging. It's immensely heavy, so you can see I'm struggling with it, and it can be, if you can, borrow a friend or a neighbour to give you a hand. Bringing that unit back into frame, you see again how big it is. Tilting it forward gives you an implication of the size of the amplifier. With a couple of 100 watts it's got significant heat sinks, and we'll see that as we drill a little bit further. As far as getting it off the next level, very carefully roll it forward onto its back, which reveals the additional packaging that helps secure the unit in frame. They add a wooden board and then screws to ensure that it's fixed directly into the chassis of the amplifier. Removing those is relatively straightforward. You can use a hand screw if you wish, but obviously much faster with an electric drill. So the screws are big and long, and again go straight into the chassis of the amplifier and have big washers to ensure that the weight is dispersed across the wooden plate. It's pre-drilled for a number of different securing points, and then the cardboard itself is pre-cut again for securing points of other amplifiers and preamps in the range. There are two plastic feet that line up with the anchoring points on the amplifier, and that ensures that you can't really over tighten those screws and end up potentially crushing the cardboard or damaging the unit itself. The amplifier is then covered in a plastic bag, which is oversized and in this instance nice and easy to undo without having to clip the sellotape. At this point it's easier to find a good leverage point and roll it very carefully onto its feet, onto the side at least anyway. Then slide the bag off, rolling the amplifier carefully, and then bringing it back onto its feet. The amplifier is protected with a cloth bag, and the cloth bag is beautifully soft on the inside to not only protect the product but leave it sort of fingerprint free in transit. The bag has a couple of drawstrings, but in this instance it's not being required as far as pulling those tight. At the back there's a desiccant bag, and that bag itself is covered with a little protective sleeve to ensure it can't potentially damage the product in transit. Looking at the amplifier for the first time, again please hang around for some photographs where you will see close-ups of the front display and other key elements. Nevertheless, the front is extremely elegant. McIntosh's VU meters share the left and right outputs as you would expect, and this iconic design will stick with McIntosh forever, I guess. On this side we have the rotary encoder for input, and pushing and holding this allows you to dive deep into the setup that I mentioned earlier. It's the ability to allocate inputs for certain, change input names, allocate inputs, turn off unused inputs. And it's very simple and easy to navigate. Below the input selector is the headphone output with the HXD logo. McIntosh's HXD is a room sort of feel for headphones to give you the illusion of more space in headphone and monitoring environments, and it's lovely to see that that is now available on all of their integrated amps. Beside that we've got the two allocatable outputs, where you can select output 1 and 2, should this be utilised in additional amplification scenarios. In the centre we have a two-line dot matrix display, and beneath that a massive IR sensor. Above it we have the power guard lights to imply that the unit is clipping or having a problem. These actually illuminate briefly upon startup. And then the McIntosh logo along with the MA7200 model. We've got a tone defeat button and a mute. Then last but not least we've got the power button. Pressing and holding that resets the unit, so should you have a problem or want to sort of go back a step after you've lost yourself in the setup, you can use that here. Above it is the main volume control, and again that's a rotary encoder, and that performs with the setup to ensure that you can navigate and change trim, bass, treble, balance, all of those things using the dot matrix display. The two VU meters, again signature, implying the 200 and then 400 watt clipping power. Leaning that forward we get an implication of its depth, and again hang around for some close-up photographs. The preamplification stage is illuminated using fibre optics, and it ensures that you get consistency as far as its illumination over time. The classic oversized power transformer and then two output transformers are signatures of McIntosh's design. The large heatsinks, now including the McIntosh logo with all of their new ones, allow the amplifier to run cool even in the most dynamic environments. Spinning it around and having a look at the side, we see again its depth and heatsinks, and in the back where we see some of the elaborate features that are somewhat hidden. Firstly, the signature outputs that you expect from an Autoformer output design. They share a common and then a 2, 4 and 8 ohm output tap. These are a binding post that can be finger tightened pretty easily around a spade or bare wire. They have an additional sort of cap that can easily be removed with a fingernail to enable you to access the outputs via banana plugs. Beside the outputs is a modular design, and one of the reasons why I'm very proud of this as far as its price and quality. McIntosh has introduced the DA1 and now in their higher end range the DA2. This modular DAC enables all sorts of additional external inputs to be added. The DAC is phenomenal as far as the quality goes. Via USB it'll run all of the latest formats, including the 384 kilohertz formats associated with some computer-based sources. Natively via Optical and Coax, it's still a 32-bit DAC running at 192 kilohertz. It features McIntosh's MCT link. Now this is the digital link and timing clock between McIntosh's transports. This enables SACD and other high-resolution formats to be transported through from the CD transport, unlike most connections which would limit that to analog outputs. There's the asynchronous USB and then a serial number associated with that particular DA module. Beside it we've got a USB port for the purposes of servicing and software updating, and then trigger and voltage outputs associated with the external control. There is a bank of trigger outs to turn on large power amplifiers. There's RS232 and IR inputs, as well as a cascade of IR out as well. We've got the left output on the opposite side, again finger tightened and the covers intact. And then in this sort of sub-chassis we've got the traditional analog inputs, a set of balanced, and then a separate moving coil and moving magnet input with a very, very good quality binding post for a ground. It has 5 numbered analog inputs which can all be named and allocated or turned off as required from the setup that I showed you at the front. It features a pre-in and pre-out and a second output which can be switched via the toggles at the front. These bridging clips can be removed should this go through a processing preamp or something along those lines, or if this in time becomes just a preamp only in a much larger situation. Finally, we've got an IEC power input and fusible socket. Spinning it around, we see again its depth and beautiful signature logos, and again hang around for the photographs. So there we have it. McIntosh MA7200 Integrated Amplifier, unboxed here at the Listening Post in Christchurch, New Zealand.
Thanks for watching. If you want to see more, subscribe to our channel.